St. Charbel Makhlouf, a revered Lebanese Maronite monk and priest, is celebrated for his profound spirituality and unwavering commitment to a life of sacrifice in the service of God. While he did not provide an explicit list of signs indicating God's call to sacrifice, we can glean valuable insights from his teachings and the broader Christian tradition. In this exploration, we delve into 10 compelling signs that may suggest God's summons to make sacrifices. Each sign is accompanied by an in-depth explanation, drawn from St. Charbel's spiritual principles, to offer a deeper understanding of these divine calls to selflessness and devotion. Whether it's the inner prompting of the soul, a transformative journey through suffering, or the persistent desire to give to others, these signs illuminate the path to a life that mirrors Christ's love, compassion, and service. By embracing these signs, one may discern God's calling to a life of profound sacrifice and spiritual fulfillment, as exemplified by the inspiring legacy of St. Charbel Makhlouf. 1. Strong inner prompting. When you experience a strong inner prompting or conviction to make a sacrifice, it often manifests as a deep, persistent sense that you must do something selfless or give up something of significance. This inner voice, according to St. Charbel's teachings, is your connection with God's will. It's a divine call that stirs your soul, urging you to act in a manner that reflects God's love and compassion. This inner prompting is not merely a passing thought, but a profound sense of purpose that can be both compelling and unsettling. It may come when you least expect it, and it often challenges your comfort zone. St. Charbel believed that God communicates with us through our innermost thoughts and feelings, and when you feel a compelling urge to make a sacrifice, it is a signal that you should listen to this divine call, as it may lead you on a path of spiritual growth and service to others. 2. Prayer and meditation. St. Charbel emphasized the significance of prayer and meditation as means of deepening one's relationship with God. When you find yourself increasingly drawn to these practices, it may be a sign that God is inviting you to a deeper spiritual journey that usually involves some form of self-sacrifice. Prayer and meditation allow you to quiet your mind, open your heart, and attune yourself to God's presence. As you engage in these spiritual disciplines more regularly, you become more receptive to God's guidance. St. Charbel believed that through prayer and meditation, you can discern God's will more clearly. The desire to spend more time in prayer and meditation may be a sign that God is calling you to sacrifice other activities or distractions in order to deepen your spiritual life. It's an indication that God wants you to prioritize your relationship with Him and cultivate the inner strength needed for the sacrifices He may have in store for you. 3. Personal growth through suffering. Suffering is an inherent part of the human experience, and St. Charbel believed that God could use it as a means of spiritual refinement. When you notice that your experiences of suffering, challenges, or adversity are leading to personal growth and spiritual transformation, it may be a sign that God is working through your sacrifices. St. Charbel's teachings emphasize that suffering, when embraced with faith and humility, can lead to spiritual purification and union with God. The willingness to endure suffering for the sake of a greater purpose aligns with the Christian concept of offering up one's trials to God. This means that when you choose to endure difficulties with patience and trust in God, you are participating in a form of sacrifice that can bring you closer to God and strengthen your character. It's essential to recognize that not all suffering is a sign of God's call to sacrifice. But when your suffering is accompanied by a sense of spiritual growth, increased empathy, and a deepening of your faith, it may indicate that God is using those trials to shape you for a purpose beyond yourself. 4. Alignment with Christian values. Sacrifices that align with Christian values, such as love, compassion, and service to others, are often indicative of God's calling. St. Charbel believed that living a life in harmony with Christ's teachings was the surest path to holiness. Sacrifices made in line with these values are likely to be in accordance with God's will. When you feel compelled to make sacrifices that reflect love and selflessness, it's an indication that God is directing you towards actions that mirror the core principles of Christianity. For example, choosing to give up personal comforts to help those in need, forgiving someone who has wronged you, or prioritizing relationships and community over material pursuits can all be signs of a sacrificial spirit that mirrors Christ's example. By recognizing the alignment of your sacrifices with Christian values, you can be more confident that you are following God's call to live a life of love and service to others. 5. Confirmation through spiritual authorities. Seeking guidance from spiritual mentors, priests, or religious leaders can offer valuable insights into whether your desire to sacrifice aligns with God's plan for you. St. Charbel himself sought counsel from his superiors and trusted in their guidance when making important decisions in his life. When you share your thoughts and aspiration with those who have a deep understanding of the faith, they can provide you with wisdom and discernment. Their advice can help you navigate the path of sacrifice and ensure that you are not acting solely on your own desires, but in accordance with God's will. Confirmation from trusted spiritual authorities can provide a strong foundation for your sacrificial journey. 6. Increased empathy and compassion. If you find yourself becoming more empathetic and compassionate towards others, it could be a sign that God is calling you to sacrifice your time, resources, or comfort for the benefit of those in need. St. Charbel's life exemplified compassion and selflessness as he cared for the sick and needy in his community. As your heart opens to the suffering and needs of others, you may feel compelled to take action. This heightened empathy can lead you to acts of sacrificial love and service, driven by a genuine desire to alleviate the burdens of others. St. Charbel believed that acts of charity and kindness rooted in genuine empathy were powerful expressions of God's love, and this transformation of the heart often accompanies a divine call to sacrifice. 7. Persistent desire to give. A persistent desire to give or share what you have with others, even when it inconveniences you, may be a sign that God is calling you to make sacrifices for the well-being of others. This desire often arises from a profound understanding of the abundance of God's blessings in your life. St. Charbel's commitment to a life of simplicity and detachment from worldly possessions reflected his understanding of the value of giving and sharing. When you consistently feel a tug at your heart to give, whether it's material resources, your time, or your talents, it signifies a willingness to put others' needs before your own. This selfless inclination aligns with the spirit of sacrifice that Christ exemplified, demonstrating a genuine love for your neighbors and obedience to God's call. 8. Divine intervention. There are moments in life when God may intervene in extraordinary ways to communicate His desire for you to make a specific sacrifice. These interventions can take various forms, such as signs, dreams, or unexpected circumstances that clearly point you in a sacrificial direction. St. Charbel's life was marked by miraculous events and divine interventions that reinforced his faith and commitment to a life of sacrifice. When you experience such divine interventions, it's essential to discern their significance and heed the message they convey. These extraordinary occurrences are often clear indicators that God has a specific purpose for your life that involves making sacrifices for His greater glory. 9. Inner peace and joy. When you experience inner peace and joy despite the challenges and difficulties associated with a sacrifice, it may be a clear sign that you are following God's path. St. Charbel emphasized that true happiness comes from a deep connection with God, and making sacrifices in alignment with His will can bring about profound inner peace and joy. Sacrifices often require stepping outside of your comfort zone and giving up something valuable, despite the initial discomfort. If you find a sense of inner contentment, it suggests that you are in harmony with God's purpose. This peace and joy may serve as confirmation that you are on the right path and that your sacrifices are pleasing to God. 10. Long-term perspective. Sometimes, God's call to sacrifice is not a momentary impulse, but a lifelong vocation or commitment. This long-term perspective may involve dedicating your life to a particular cause, vocation, or mission that requires ongoing sacrifices. St. Charbel's life was marked by a commitment to a monastic and ascetic lifestyle, which necessitated a lifelong dedication to God. When you sense that your call to sacrifice extends beyond temporary acts of selflessness and into a lifelong journey of service or devotion, it may be a sign that God has a profound and enduring purpose for you. Such a calling often involves making consistent sacrifices over time, and it requires unwavering faith and dedication to God's plan. Recognizing this long-term perspective can help you prepare for a life of continuous sacrifice and service in alignment with God's will. In summary, these detailed explanations provide insights into the signs that God may be calling you to make sacrifices according to St. Charbel Makhlouf's teachings and Christian principles. These signs encompass inner promptings, spiritual growth through suffering, alignment with Christian values, confirmation from spiritual authorities, empathy and compassion, a persistent desire to give, divine intervention, inner peace and joy, and a long-term commitment to sacrifice. By recognizing and discerning these signs in your life, you can better understand and respond to God's call to a life of sacrificial love and service. In the footsteps of St. Charbel Makhlouf, we find inspiration in these 10 signs that God may be calling us to a life of sacrifice and devotion. As we reflect on the profound teachings and wisdom shared here, may we recognize the divine invitations that grace our lives and respond with open hearts. We encourage you to explore further, dive into the spiritual journey, and share this valuable insight with others who may be seeking guidance on their path of faith. If you found this content enriching, we invite you to subscribe to our channel for more spiritual guidance. Like and share this video, and explore the wide array of transformative content available on our channel. Together, let us walk the path of sacrifice and service, just as St. Charbel did, in pursuit of a deeper connection with God and a life of love and compassion.